Welcome back to NAB 2014 Live. This is your continuing coverage from the Teradek booth. I'm Michael Artsis. This is an amazing, amazing show. We're just going to pack it in for the last day. This is the last day of NAB, and we're just rapid fire. We've got Jamie from Abel Cine in New York City. You guys not only sell gear, you also rent it and really work on education of the people who buy the gear, and not necessarily even the people who buy it, just people who want to be educated on how to use it. So, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, education's a big thing for us. It really drives our sales and rental, and educating the customers how to use the gear, how for them to best use the gear out in the field.
What you guys train people on a lot of different things, Steadicam, Movi, all the different cameras. I think one of the most challenging things you teach them is this, the Phantom Flex. And you've got the Phantom Flex 4K here. Take me through this camera. It's really amazing.
Yeah, well, this is one of the cameras that I teach in the classes, and this is the new Flex 4K. If you're familiar with the Flex 2K, this is the new version, and without being obvious, it's a 4K camera. It can shoot 1,000 frames per second at 4K.
1,000 frames a second at 4K.
1,000 frames a second, yes. We've got a lot of
That's
data
amazing.
there. It is amazing, yeah. There's a lot of changes. It looks, as you can see, it looks very digital cinema friendly. If you look at this interface, very easy to use. If you can get in there, all your changes and settings can be all changed from this panel on the assistant side of the camera. And
it's DCI. I see it's DCI 4K, which is really nice. So it's 4096 by 2160.
Yeah, and we can also go up to 4096 by 2304. So we can choose any resolution from 4K all the way down to 720.
Unbelievable. So what will it shoot at 720? How high will the frame rate
720
go?
we're around about 3,000 frames, and at 1080 we're close to 2,000 frames per second.
Very, very impressive. So just so people know, this camera is the camera they use for Mythbusters when they slow the bullets down.
Yeah.
This is how they do it. They shoot it at really, really high speeds, and then they play it at regular speed, and it's very slow.
Exactly, yeah. Mythbusters is a very unique example of someone who uses a camera continually. They actually own a camera, and yeah, they shoot 5,000 frames plus per second for their bullets and explosions and analysis work.
Unbelievable. Now, how do you, give us some tips on using this? I mean, I know you can't teach us the whole thing, but there are some tricks. Like, number one, I know, is that it needs a lot of light. It needs a ton of light.
Yeah, the camera's rated at, the recommended ISO is about 800. And you're right, every time you double the frame rate, you need more lights. And you also have to consider a strobing and flicker of your lights as well. Generally speaking, outside in daylight with full sun, you can easily shoot 1,000 frames per second without any problems, and beyond, depending on the t-stop of your lens. Yeah.
Most people don't realize that a lot of the food shots, if you watch even a Pizza Hut commercial or a Burger King commercial, even for fast food or a Subway commercial, they're using a Phantom Flex to do high-speed footage. And you don't realize the lettuce being tossed, the tomatoes being tossed, the pizza being tossed, the food being cut, prepared, cooked. The one that always comes to mind for me is the burger flipping in the Burger King commercial.
Yeah.
Or hitting the bun as the bread falls at the same time. Those are all high-speed shots. So even local restaurants or smaller chains want to use this stuff and do. And high speed is becoming more and more, prevalent everywhere. I mean, you could shoot 120 frames on your iPhone now. And so I think it's becoming a lot more mainstream, and people are starting to recognize that you need this stuff, and it really is starting to become part of every production workflow, not just, here and there.
Yeah, I agree. Particularly with commercials, you've got 30 seconds to make your point, and slowing down the action that you're trying to show to people really helps when you're at high speed. And also, to go on about that, it can shoot high speed. It's known as a high speed camera, but this camera can also shoot sync speeds frame rates, so 2398 and 2997. So it can actually do that and record audio now. So it is a camera that you can do, it can be used as a hybrid camera now.
That's really terrific, because it's not, that's the one knock I always had on the cameras. It's great, but to me it's always a rental unless you're Mythbusters, because it's a one-trick pony. But now it's not a one-trick pony. You can use this to shoot your main footage, and then, oh, by the way, let's crank it up and get 1,000 frames a second.
Exactly. It's much more friendly now to not only to high speed, but for general acquisition, digital cinema acquisition. It's much more friendly now.
So there are a lot of great people at Abel Cine. You've got Steve Cohen, of course, and you're there, and then of course Andrew is there, and you've got John who's there. A lot of great people across the board, really making sure that the sales department is very knowledgeable, the service department is very knowledgeable, of course the rental department and the education department. Obviously abelcine.com, but how do people find out more about your seminars and classes and workshops on the Phantom Flex?
Yeah, so if you go to our website, there's a training section, or training.abelcine.com, and you can see all the classes there. I teach the Phantom class, but we've also got the Movi classes, all the cameras, the Canon C500, the Sony F55, the Phantom class, and there's a whole bunch of classes on there that you can see and attend.
That's awesome. What is the trickiest part about this camera?
It's actually, this camera, it's a lot easier to use. The trickiest part is really just understanding how high speed works. With high speed, when you're shooting at 1,000 frames a second, it's not like a normal camera where you just hit record and then you can record for 10 minutes at 1,000 frames a second and then stop. It works in a buffer loop method. So you've got this looping RAM, and then you get 5 to 10 seconds of high speed, which doesn't sound like a lot, but when you play it back, it can be 3 minutes plus.
Right. Yeah. No, it's certainly a lot. I've shot high speed before, and if you think about it, we shot high speed with a U.S. Olympic ski jumper, Lindsey Vann.
Yep.
And as she was ski jumping, it was interesting when I first looked at it. I'm like, wow, I don't know if this is enough time to get her. And you don't realize you only need really her coming down and jumping, which takes all of about 3 seconds.
Exactly.
And she's by the camera by the time she lands, because you can't get the whole thing in unless you're too far away, and then it's nothing anyway. So the thing is, you really only need three of those seconds to get her. And so you've got 2 seconds to hit record, let it go for a second, and you just time it right. You really just time it.
Exactly, you just time it right, and it's those peak key action moments that you want to extend out, and 1 second can become well over a minute when you play it back in high speed.
I love the change of speed that you can do. You can play it back so it looks like it's normal speed, and then you can quickly slow it down and then go back to what you would say is normal speed. And that's used a lot. I think the change of speed is good. Or even if you shoot some stuff regular and then you're using high speed and then you're using regular, again, a regular frame rate, whether it's 24, 30, 60, whatever you're using, I think that's cool. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us here. abelcine.com. Find out more about the Phantom Flex, the workshops, and renting gear or buying it from them. A great place to go. We've got a lot of good people there downtown in Manhattan. You've got a Los Angeles location, and you're kind of available on the web too.
Exactly, yeah. New York, Los Angeles, and Chicago.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
This
is our NAB 2014 continuing coverage here. We're going to have a whole lot more show when we come back. Look at this hardware. Vitek and Teradek have got Vitek Videocom, Best in Show Video Maker. We've got the best booth here, Teradek. Congratulations, guys. We'll be back right after this. A whole lot more show. Rapid Fire. It's Rapid Fire Thursday.